What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video, on First Take, they're going to be talking about O'Dell Beckham Jr. and is he going to be a problem for the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Cleveland Browns? So let's see what they have to say about that.
This is insanity I'm hearing about O'Dell Beckham Jr. Like, O'Dell, talk to his teammates. His teammates love this dude. And let me tell you something else. Eli Manning, if I ever see him in a bar, he ain't paying for a drink. He brought my Giants 2 Super Bowls with clutch plays. I love that dude. He has stunk on ice for years now. Odell, when he was on the field, was making Eli look like an NFL quarterback, kind of. Without Odell on the field, Eli has been non-NFL starter. Now, let me say this.
Well, first off, you got to give a little bit more credit to Eli Manning because he beat the GOAT twice. He beat arguably the GOAT twice in Tom Brady. Not once, but twice. So you know it wasn't a fluke. So you got to give that man a little bit more respect because some people might say that since you beat the GOAT twice, that you might be the GOAT, for one. And for two, O'Dell Beckham Jr. will make any quarterback look good, no matter who he's playing with. That's why he's the top 3 wide receiver in the league right now. So let's continue.
Key, you tell me if I'm wrong. Game recognize game. Real recognize real. I don't worry about Odell on the Browns. Baker Mayfield, baller. Kareem Hunt, baller. Nick Chubb, baller. Odell is going to fit right in. He is much more of a Steelers problem. The Browns just went 7-8-1, and they added O'Dell Beckham freaking Jr. and Kareem Hunt. This is a problem for the AFC North, not for Cleveland.
Well, look, I love you to death, Max, but I kind of lean toward Ryan on this one. I think when you look at it, the problem in being put in that position, I've been there. I've been traded from the New York Jets for 2 number 1 picks, going to a team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In my first year in Tampa Bay, I did not light it up. I played well. I played well enough to help the team make it to the playoffs, but they were going to the playoffs regardless with me or without me because they were a good team before I arrived there. On the offensive side of the ball was a struggle. I look at it this way. If O'Dell Beckham has any issues with getting the football early on with the Cleveland Browns, it could be problematic because he's there. It's a lot of stress and a lot of pressure, like Ryan said, to live up to those expectations. People are looking for O'Dell to take the Cleveland Browns to the next level. If all of a sudden he's getting 2 or 3 passes a game and they're not winning football games, I understand they're loaded with talent. I understand that John Dorsey went out there and did a terrific job in terms of Kareem Hunt and drafting players and getting O'Dell and doing all of those things, making Baker Mayfield a starter. If he's not getting the football, Max, and he's not producing, trust me, it will be problematic. But to what degree, okay? He may be frustrated. He may do some of the same antics that we saw in New York, which to me isn't that big of a problem. He's motivating himself. Kicking a net, so what? He didn't kick anybody, he kicked the net. He didn't hurt anybody, he hurt a net. The net doesn't have feelings. So at the end of the day, I honestly believe it's the Cleveland Browns that have to worry about kind of managing and maintaining the expectations. The Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin, they've seen a ton of receivers. They see A.J. Green every single year. They've seen his teammate Landry. So they certainly know what they're up against in terms of playing against elite receivers. Guys,
So I'm going to have to go with, I think O'Dell Beckham Jr. is going to be trouble for everybody in the league. Everyone he's going to be trouble for, especially the Pittsburgh Steelers. So everybody knows that O'Dell Beckham is a top 3 wide receiver in the league right now. You know he can hurt you. You know about 2 or 3 times a game he's going to make a big play or make a big catch or do something spectacular that's going to hurt your team, and he's going to make a big play. So that's without a doubt. That's why he's a top 3 wide receiver right now in the game. And as far as the Cleveland Browns, so he might be a problem there too. If he doesn't get the ball. And I think a lot of that's going to have to go with the coaching staff and the coaches. You're going to have to know your players and their personalities and what you're dealing with the arrogantness. And O'Dell Beckham Jr. is a diva wide receiver type that is always going to want the ball, always going to want to make the play, and wants to be the star of the show. So being a head coach, if I was the head coach, I would definitely get O'Dell Beckham Jr. started early in the game, give him the ball, toss him the rock about 1 or 2 times just to get him started, get him warmed up in the game, and then from there on, you should be okay. But I would start off very early getting O'Dell Beckham Jr. the rock. So he doesn't start complaining. He doesn't start pouting. He doesn't start crying. He doesn't start acting out. Like I said, you have to know how to adjust and work with the personalities and the players that you're dealing with. So let's continue.
You got to be kidding me that if anybody's having the notion here that you don't have the responsibility as a star in the league to not just get out and produce, but be a model citizen. And I love the way
He's not. You said a model citizen. What has O'Dell done that he's not a model citizen, right?
He ain't won nothing.
That doesn't make him not a model citizen, dog. That doesn't make him not a model citizen because he hasn't won.
Listen, he hasn't won anything in the NFL yet. He's a star talent. I understand. O'Dell even said it. He said, I can't throw it to myself and catch it. And as a matter of fact, he threw a longer pass to Eli Manning. We're not denying that.
Ryan, football is a little bit different, unlike your sport. It takes 11 guys. In basketball, we can get 1 or 2 guys, and it completely changes the landscape. In football, you have to have 22-plus guys, offense, defense, special teams, coaches. Everything has to mesh. Now, do I think the Cleveland Browns have an opportunity to do something special? Yes. But what a lot of people are missing with the Cleveland Browns is they got to understand that Kitchens, the new head coach, was the interim offensive coordinator. They scored a lot more points than when Todd Haley was there. He was running the same offense that Todd ran, but he didn't have any real responsibility. He was just trying to become an offensive coordinator. He fell into this head coaching job. Now he's going to call plays, but he has to also manage the entire team. Forget the players. Focus in on what the head coach's responsibility is.
I just know he can't.
So that might be an issue, Keyshawn, that they address maybe next year or the year after that. Now they have a strong base of having a stacked team. So the next team might be looking for a new head coach or head coach that can come in and direct all these young guys, all these young ballers. So that might be the next step. But again, like you said, and I said before, that it's going to be the head coach's job to be able to know how to deal with all the different egos and personalities on the team and how to deal with an O'Dell Beckham Jr., who's a super diva. Like I said, for me, if I was a head coach, I would definitely get O'Dell Beckham Jr. started early in the game by getting him 1 or 2 tosses his way so he gets a few catches, gets a few yards, and, just gets him going. So you don't have to worry about him standing next to you on the sideline crying about when am I going to get the ball? When are you going to throw it my way? So, I don't know, but let's continue.
Control that, and I don't trust if he's going to play his role. I know he can't control if they have to win a game running the ball, and defensively, he's going to play his role, Max.
Hold on. A couple things. Number one, when you talk about, what the Browns need to worry about, losing Zeitler to the Giants in that trade off the offensive line, that's something we can point to. O'Dell causing problems, whatever, you might point to that, but did they just get better or worse? They were giving problems to the North for the first time in a long time, and they just got better. Key, it's not just one receiver. It's O'Dell and Landry. It's not just one back. It's Kareem and Chubb.
Max, there's no question they're a better football team with O'Dell. This conversation has started because Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin was asked a question about worrying about O'Dell. And I would say that the Cleveland Browns have to worry about getting a guy with high expectations, the football in his hands, and let him be productive. Because if he's not, then he's not going to be very happy. I've been there before. I've been in that position where I was traded and everybody thought, oh, my God. So what starts to happen is you become less of a player if you're not getting the football and you're not producing. People start to look at you different. All of those endorsements that he was getting in New York won't be the same in Cleveland because if he's not producing, people are going to say he's not the player that he was in New York.
You see, but my thing with that is, if I'm giving O'Dell Beckham the ball a few times a game, 6 or 7 catches, or toss to him 6 or 7 times throughout the game, and he drops the ball or doesn't make the play, well, then that's on him. He should be able to see and recognize, look, we're giving you the ball. You're just not doing anything with it. Now, on the other hand, if they're not throwing him the ball and giving him an opportunity to use his talents, then maybe I can see where he might be a little irritated or, have something to complain about. But I would leave it up to him. Look, we're giving you the ball 6 or 7 times a game, and you're dropping balls, you're not making catches, or you're not making yards, or you're just not producing. So as far as that, I think it depends on how you play it. But I would definitely give him the rock. And if he's not cutting it, then I have to sit him down and tell him, look, we're giving you the ball, but you're just not doing it. So I don't want to see you walking around there pouting and talking about you want to trade and all this other type of trash because we're giving you the ball. You're just not producing, which kind of fall in line with what he's really done. He hasn't really done much in the playoffs at all. So as far as that might be another issue that could be brought up if you really want to get down and dirty of his production. So let's continue.
Your gut as someone who's won a Super Bowl, who's made all pro or Pro Bowl teams and all that stuff, who's the number one draft and everything. When I look at O'Dell on the Browns with Baker Mayfield and these dudes, I think these are ballers. My gut says they're going to have a good time this season. What's your gut about Cleveland with O'Dell?
My gut tells me they're going to win about 6 or 7 games, man. That's what my gut says. But I can be wrong. I've been wrong before. The head coach scares me. He scares me. I'll say it again, Max. He was an interim offensive coordinator, okay, that did well, got an opportunity that was kicked to the head coach. Now he's over 53-plus guys, an entire organization. He has to now deal with the training staff, the strength and conditioning. He has to manage personalities on offense and defense. Is he ready for that role? In-game decision as a head coach is different than an in-game decision as a coordinator that's on an intern tag. That's all I'm saying.
So I do agree with you, but the Browns, they finally have the ball rolling into being a competitor, a contender in the league. So I think you kind of want to go one step at a time because now they have a strong base. They have a stacked team with a bunch of players. So the next step might be to find a good, well-seasoned head coach that can take care of business and lead those guys and be able to deal with all the personalities on all the little different things that may pop up with the NFL team, a young NFL team that's on the verge of probably doing something. So as far as that, I think they're still doing a very good job because they have a strong base, and if they need to switch coaches or figure something else out, I think they're good to go. And I think they might do 1 or 2 games better than what they did last year. I'm not expecting them to go to Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl this year, but I am expecting to see at least do what they did last year, if not 1 or 2 more games winning. And probably in 2 years, I think they'll be ready. They'll be firing on all cylinders. They know how to play with each other. They're all gelled up. They know what to do. So I probably say that the Cleveland Browns, they're definitely on their way. They're definitely on the way to doing some damage